With you,
Nothing much. How about yourself?
man. Listen, I am chilling, man. Um, Want to tell our audience, welcome to the Alpha Male Perspective. I have the pleasure of being your host this evening. My name is William Coleman. I want to take it around the room real quick, say what's up with the brothers, and then we want to get in and just start chopping it up a little bit. Got a couple of things we want to talk about tonight. But before we get into that, JP, what's popping with you?
I'm good. For somebody who had 3 minutes to prepare for the show, I'm good. And I'm gonna
So,
still pull this off, even though I had 3 minutes to prepare.
Excuse me.
so, um,
Um,
are tools used by the incompetent. Those who use them seldom accomplish anything. Um,
mm,
I was going. Um, LV's not here with us right now because he's at his daughter's rehearsal. Or she had a concert tonight, and we definitely wish her well in her concert. But we always put family first. So hopefully he'll be able to join us soon. And I went to LV before I came to you, John, because I leave the majority of the cussing to LV. I throw y'all one, a good one here and there. But Gerald's about to make me cuss him out. Because we got a good, bad, and ridiculous, and his ass didn't check his little ass phone, so he's saying he only had 3 minutes.
You you
Sasha
just
could have
sent
read.
it.
Sasha could have read that shit in 3 minutes. Little John, what's popping with you, baby? What's going on, John? Eat quick.
hey, I just want to just one thing is express my condolences on the loss of Twitch. I cannot stress mental health is really important. The brother, he seemed like he was happy just days ago. He was celebrating his ninth wedding anniversary, and to learn today that he took his own life. So I just like to say, hey, these black men out here, don't be ashamed to tell someone when you're in pain, when you're hurting. Let others know, because we don't want you to be on the island by yourself, because there's people out there that care about you and want to know. So I just want to get that out the way, because I know we're gonna get deep, but I want to express our condolences and just tell people out there, not just black men, but anyone, if you have some pain that you're going through, please talk to someone. On that,
It's interesting. It's interesting. I saw the light bulb on Gerald's head go off, so he don't know what you're talking about. DJ Twist, who used to be
hmm
Ellen DeGeneres' DJ on her show, committed suicide, from our understanding and how it's been reported. And I was going to go to another good, bad, and ridiculous, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I do want to give Gerald a chance to speak on mental health. We all know he's our resident therapist. But I was sharing something with a couple of friends today. It was four of us on a thread, and we have a female coworker, and was saying, um, "Why come black men don't seek therapy?" And I replied that therapy has really, and I know it's wrong, and I can use it because JP's gonna clean me up. Therapy has recently come into vogue within the last 10 years, where people are talking more about mental health openly. Not in the therapist community, but I'm just saying openly in our community, right? And when you look at the last 10 years and that really being something that has come into focus as far as mental health, I am 53 years old. I have 53 years of voices in my head telling me to be strong, stand up, be a man. You carry a load, and you don't need to go outside of yourself, or your closest friends or your family to deal with trauma, to deal with pain and things of that nature. It is hard to undo those 53 years of voices in my head in 10 years that therapy has really been something that people are talking about. So, although we hadn't planned on going there, John, I'm glad you brought this up. And I'll give you a chance to get back on it in a minute. But I want to give JP a quick opportunity to talk about mental health a little bit and the importance of, like John said, not just black men, not just black women, but people, the human race seeking therapy to work through our traumas so that we can be whole and happy, um, as a community, as individuals, as families. JP always says, we're only so many uh, uh, generations away from being cousins, all of us, which is how we know he's cousins with like R. Kelly and some of the people like that. But with us being that close and that closely related, we really need to look at one another as family and really be able to talk about mental health as a community so that we can heal. So, JP, if you can take a couple of minutes to just hit on this a little bit, and then we'll try to get back into some lighter topics.
Yeah, this is such um a present issue right now, and it's interesting that it has come up during our podcast because my 7 o'clock session tonight was with a black mother who has been struggling to get her son to go to therapy, and he desperately needs it. And last weekend I was interviewed by one of our brothers, Kenny Lumpkins, about this specific topic because,
Lump, lump.
yes, and you know, he was wanting me to speak on the obstacles, the stigma, all the reasons that black males have struggled to be willing to accept help. And Coleman, you laid it out really well that yes, black men have come a long way over the past decade, but as you said, looking beyond the last decade, it really does take men overcoming that internal obstacle, that voice in their head that says you are supposed to be strong enough to handle all of your own issues and all of your own problems without any help. You survive hundreds of years enslaved. You survived the horrors of slavery. How is it that you now need to sit down with someone to get help with your struggles? And so here's the thing. One, I do want to say, and as a therapist, I've noticed, as Coleman said, over the past decade, black males have actually done an incredible job of embracing therapy. I would go so far as to say that at least 50% of my caseload is black males. And I'm talking teenagers, black male teenagers who text and schedule their own therapy appointments. I'm talking young black males on college campuses. And the last of all humans to show up for therapy, old black males have began to
Mm,
show up for therapy since the pandemic started. Because what is happening right now is the pandemic has caused two primary issues amongst all humans to skyrocket. That's depression and anxiety. In particular, black males experience a lot of anxiety. And so, one of the things I
mm,
noticed, because over the past decade, 10 to 15 years, the young black males, have been showing up for therapy, the teenagers, the 20 to 30-year olds. But it's only been over the past 2 or 3 years that I'm getting black males who are in their 60s and 70s coming in for therapy. What I want to say is at this time, what's preventing the rest of the black males who need to be willing to come in to work on their anxiety and depression is the negative stereotype that black males don't get help. It's not so much about the stigma because black males are showing up for therapy, but those who are not aware are still falling up under that stereotype. Now, different areas of the country sees different numbers. For example, those in California, in LA, where therapy is almost um, more of a status. It's more of a status kind of symbol, like, okay, everybody has therapy here, and it shows that you're able to afford therapy. And so there are parts of the country where they embrace it more. Here in the Midwest is the last to come along. Okay. It's just the truth. But I do want to say that Black males are greatly improved in this area. Now, real quick, I do want to say something about anxiety and depression. Um, and let's just deal with that, the stigma of mental health. I want to say this, that stigma, that cognitive distortion that therapy is for crazy people. The truth of the matter is, every single human on the planet meets the criteria for a mental health diagnosis over the course of their lives. Okay, because there are many diagnoses that actually make you normal for having them. Okay, and that's, for example, the adjustment disorders. You know, if you get a new job in a new city and you have to pack up all of your things and move your family across the country, you're nervous about the new job, you're having some anxiety, that's adjustment disorder with anxiety. It's totally normal to experience that. Even positive things can cause a person to meet the criteria for that diagnosis. You're planning a wedding, the wedding date is approaching, everything isn't totally in place yet. Once again, adjustment disorder with anxiety. You and your spouse are having marital problems. You know, you're at each other's throats, you're feeling distant, you're beginning to experience, you know, some emotional struggles. You're reacting in ways that you typically wouldn't, maybe snapping a little bit, you know, doing some things that you typically wouldn't do. Adjustment disorder with mixed disturbance of emotions and conduct. Somebody dies, you're sad, you're tearful, your appetite is off, you're having, you know, bad dreams at night or dreams about your deceased loved one. All of the symptoms of depression, but because they are triggered by a death, by a situation, it's adjustment disorder with depressed mood. And so the adjustment
Okay.
disorders are diagnoses that says you're a normal person. The only people who doesn't experience them are sociopaths, and guess what? They have that diagnosis, which is 1,000 times worse. So I mean, so it's like you can't avoid it. This is the message that we need to get out in our community, is that you are not crazy for going to therapy. Most, I would say the vast majority of people coming into therapy, 80 to 90% of my caseload are people dealing with regular life issues, parenting issues, taking care of aging parents, work related stress, marital problems. Like, it's regular issues. And people who would be considered crazy actually do not tend to go to therapy because they're not able to cognitively process on a level that therapy requires. People who would be considered crazy get case management services. We don't sit and
So do
try
you
to
get case management?
case management services is for people who aren't necessarily able to process concepts on the level that therapy requires, but they still need supportive services.
Well, I was wondering about that because we've been calling your ass crazy since college. So I was wondering where you fall in and how they fit in this. Uh, that was a great. I appreciated you. You covered a lot of different topics, and we were going to do a good, bad, and ridiculous. And I'm going to probably jump into that topic towards the end, but I kind of want to transition a little bit because I sent y'all a list of topics, and one of my topics was, "What is your jail cell?" Since we are talking about therapy, you know what? Let's just jump back into a topic. And again, the topic is, what is your jail cell? And this is what I was thinking about when I came up with this. We all have something that we need to work through and that we are being held by. It may not be, you may not be held back, but you're being held, which does not allow you to be as full in a certain aspect of your life as if you probably could be. And since we're talking about black men and therapy and mental health, I'm going to ask us to be a little vulnerable today. And I want us to talk about again, what is your jail cell? What is it that is holding you in any aspect of life? And again, it may not be holding you back, but it still has a grasp on you, something that you need to work through. And because he's our resident therapist, and then because I know he's also going to come back and wrap us up and try to tell us what's wrong with us, John, and we can always point back to his ass being crazy, I'm going to ask JP to go first in our session of vulnerability. JP, what would you consider to be your jail cell? And as you talk about that, I want you to hit on one thing that you were talking about a little bit earlier, because you said the Midwest is the last to come along, and I would have thought the South would be the last area of the country to come along. So if you can kind of hit on the areas of the country that may lag behind, but more specifically, what is your jail cell?
I probably have several, but what immediately popped into my head, because Coleman is a host, you do a wonderful job of throwing curveballs at us. We don't know what the show gonna be about until you open your mouth. And
Shit.
so,
Neither do I. Y'all be
off
saying shit, and you know that
right,
voice in my head be getting triggered.
but you do a good job. Though you do a great job. Even with the curveballs, it's always something that we really need to talk about. Off the top of my head, time for me on multiple levels. Time is oftentimes my enemy. Um, you all, I've been teased for decades because of
Hold
my.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
I
Did you
don't
say
need you to
time?
point out anything.
I thought we were gonna let him get through it before we stopped him.
I
At least
don't
let him
need
say
you to
something.
point out anything. Now I'm
Listen,
trying to
I
accept
was.
responsibility on my own.
The
That's what
clock
you
in
Do
your
don't
you
jail
know
say.
cell.
how?
Go ahead.
Do you know how many years of accountability you are dealing with right now? Go ahead, go ahead. I'm sorry. Shit. I mean,
I'm
I'm
gonna
just.
say
I,
this.
I want to. I want to call some people and tell them to tune in because there's a lot of people right now who
Right.
you owe an apology to. But go ahead and speak on it. Time. Speak on it. Speak on it.
I'm just saying that I, on occasion, have been tardy.
Is that
Uh,
today occasion? Because that's not like a life. Occasion mean infrequent, Mr. Researcher. Occasion means it may happen out the blue.
okay,
So please define what you mean by occasion.
what would be the proper term?
Seasonal?
Wow, preach,
All,
little John.
all the time. All the motherfucking time. Shit.
I refuse to say that I'm chronically late. I will say on occasion. I tend to
Okay,
be
we'll let you
On
have that.
occasion when the sun comes up. But go ahead.
time. Time has been my enemy, and in thinking about it, because my goal is always to work on self improvement until I either drop dead or go senile and can't really cognitively form goals. But in thinking about it, what I realized is that time has been my enemy because I try to squeeze too much into small time frames. And on top of that, I allow myself to get distracted by other things that I need to do when I don't have enough time between this task and that task. to get it done. And so in that way, time has been my enemy because I don't have enough of it. And then the other thing is, as I've gotten older, time has become an enemy. And this is going to sound a little morbid, but it's the truth. I, at this age, I am fully aware that I do not have a lot of time left for the things that I'm trying to accomplish. And which is the reason why I'm like writing two books at the same time and working at 2 o'clock in the morning. And because we kind of talked about this a little bit last week, but my youngest child is 3, and I'm not going to be around when she's my age. And so I feel rushed to provide her with as many life lessons in as many forms as possible so that when she no longer has me, I need her to be able to get on YouTube and pull up a podcast or pull up the radio show or read this book or read that book or a third book that I'm writing just for her, tracking her life since she was born, because when I'm no longer around, I still want her to know everything that I have to say about as many subject areas and topics as possible. When we do this podcast, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what messages do I want my child to get? Because I don't have a lot of time left. I'm in my 50s. I don't have a lot of time. And I feel like I got a late start or something. Like I should have started earlier on some of the things that I'm trying to do and the messages I'm trying to put out there, not just for her, but for people. Like I'm trying to reach as many people as possible. And so I feel the
See,
pressure of time weighing on me because I'm old.
see, this is
So
the
I
funny
feel like
part.
that's my jail.
This is the funny part about your jail cell, and I can see the timepiece, in the way that you explained it. I would counter it, um, not the part about you being late, because your ass been late. I mean,
Since I know him.
forever. But yeah,
Ever.
yeah, and we've
Ever.
known him over 20 years. So you've been late for a long fucking time. Now, the timepiece, I
Over
would
30.
say, as far as your daughter is concerned, um, I think that's going to be a little bit different. I think you're going to be a little bit surprised because you, that old crazy dude, and everybody knows the old crazy dude in your community never died. You know what I'm saying? Like at my church, we had Mr. Pruitt. Mr. Pruitt was 1,000 when I was 2. You know what I mean? And Mr. Pruitt lived in our church. He'd be cleaning the church. Can't nothing kill Mr. Pruitt. I mean, he's passed. Mr. Pruitt was about 1,025 when he passed away. You are Mr. Pruitt. Your ass ain't gonna never die. You crazy. Crazy people don't die. They multiply, baby. Uh, Johnny Quick, man, what's your jail cell, bro? Show us some vulnerability. What's going on with
Uh, this is a very vulnerable thing. My jail cell is perfection. I'm my
you?
hardest critic, and it kind of sometimes can hold me back. I'll go from professional to personal. Um, One, I never brag on myself. I try to let my work speak for myself. And it's hard for me to accept compliments because people will compliment the way I do things and how great it was, but I find the flaw in it and I can't accept their compliment because I'm like, yeah, I didn't catch that. That there's something wrong with your judgment. Like we talked about the step show tape. I can't watch the step show tape because I know mentally I messed up and I don't want to see myself messing up in the step show. So people have given me accolades and I thank them, but I already know I messed up, so I cannot look at the show. I can't bring myself to watch it. The other thing is with relationships because I know there's things I'm trying to accomplish, and I've had this conversation with several ladies. It's like nothing's gonna be perfect, but in my head, I have to have the perfect setting to invite a young lady into. And so that's sometimes my drawback is because I'm trying to always create the perfect situation. And I know perfection is not going to happen. You have to amend your life to different things professionally, personally. But that's my jail cell often is um my coping with being perfect and having the perfect setting and the perfect situations.
I appreciate that, man. Um, I would have thought the grown man experience within itself was perfect, but I feel you on that. LV,
Hey,
um,
even with that, the recent conversation I've been having and some people been laughing. Um, if I take a person out of town, the question comes up: do you want the friendship relation experience, or do you want the boyfriend girlfriend experience? And if you choose the boyfriend girlfriend, do you want the grown man experience? But that's a different conversation for the later on.
oh shit, we damn near lost the topic. LV, no, John, you're not done. I'm gonna come back to that. We ain't done. Let me write that down. Grown man experience. I'm coming back to that. LV, bruh, how was the concert, man?
It was good, man. Had to sit through the what is it, the symphonic band, which is the lower level band, but they did good.
Hmm.
They did really good.
Good.
And then lyrics in the honors band, they did good. She had a little solo part that she rocked.
That's because she's
You
first
know,
chair, right? That's because she's
yeah,
first chair on alto, right? Yeah. So
yes.
let's not leave that out. Let's not act like it ain't shit.
Right, right.
Lyric first chair.
Right.
Um, yeah, and I know
Let me
that's a
see.
big deal because my son picked up the alto and he went to regionals to try out for regionals and he made the substitute. You know what I mean? And I think
Oh,
Lyric made what third chair at regionals this year, which just speaks to what she's doing. And I know that's an accomplishment because my son has to practice every day. Let's talk about jail cells, bro. And I know we catching you a little bit off guard because you came in,
yeah.
but I'm asking each brother to be a little bit vulnerable and talk about what are our jail cells because we were talking about mental health and we want to. You can't to me you can't talk about mental health. You can't ask people to be invested in mental health and to be vulnerable if we're not willing as a group to show that same vulnerability. So I'm looking at you and saying, Pimpalicious, what does your jail say?
And see, that's you really asked me to put my on blast.
Not really. I can do it. I can go to myself, man.
I
Because I
mean,
didn't give you a whole lot of time to think about it.
do have some jail cells. The ones that seem to keep biting me in the tail, uh, I would say, are women. My relationships with women, and I think
Mhm.
I know the reason why. I have a hard time really trusting people. So I'm gonna be kind to you. I'm gonna give you. I want to say I'm giving you my all, but in all honesty, I know I'm giving you, 89.7. You know,
Like a radio
because
station.
Right,
That was real specific.
right. Not even
Very.
89.5, 89.7.
you know,
Which is still a high number, though.
It's like
and
Pimpalicious radio, you know.
it's due to I think I have trust issues that go all the way back to things from my childhood. So I
Mm.
kind of put up a barrier and won't allow myself to let somebody get close enough to me like that. They'll open up to me completely, but I won't totally open up to them. And sometimes it causes problems because I want to explain. I will present my statement. And sometimes I guess I get like John a little bit. I speak it remedial though. So the words that I said is what I meant. And when you want to come back and question me, I tend to get a little agitated. And it depends on how the day has been, how agitated I may react to you questioning something that I feel is so simplistic. But I know that's something that I have to work on. And the real root of it is that I don't trust.
Yeah.
It's hard. I really do have an ice box where the heart used to be. I'm on guard. I think that's part of the reason that my marriages didn't work. Because once again, I didn't totally trust and give everything. I need to change. Because if I expect somebody to be that way with me, I need to in turn do the same. But I know I ain't gonna do them dirty. But it's hard for me to be able to put all my eggs in one basket, shall I say. You know, and that's something that I struggle with. It's like I have two people, one on each shoulder. I got this one dude that's been pristine white, nice linen, clean. And then I got this other cat, got his hat to the back. He got all his clothes, and he like, hey, baby girl, what that do? What that mouth do? That's all I want to know. I don't want to know you. And then the other dude, he over there now, brother. Now that's not right, and that's not how we should treat our women. We have to be better. So it's an inter-struggle. So
You know what?
hold on, let me finish. So and I'll say something that I think I've started to do because of what I did in my past. I would do things, or I won't let myself get close to somebody or maybe do something so they don't want to be close to me because I don't want to hurt them. It's like, I ain't worth your time right now because really, you don't want these. You don't want this problem, and that's the jail cell I live in. And I break out every now and again. I done escaped a few times.
LV, to a degree, I feel like I need to apologize to you because I know you say you got these two cats sitting on your shoulders. One's in linen, and the other one got his hat turned to the back. But I've been married for a long time, and we've had several conversations, and you'd be like, "Yo, D, da da da," and I'll be over there with that dude with his hat turned to the back, not even realizing me and that cat sitting together. Top dog, fuck it, I'd be out. So I don't know if I've been the best friend in aiding you in your path, and I think part of friendship is making sure not necessarily that you give people what you want to see vicariously, see them do and live through, but try to give them more of what they need to be the person, the man that they strive to be. And you always talk about who you want to be. So the heart having an ice box there, I disagree with that, but I'm not going to try to fight you on your heart. But at the same time, you're only partially the dude that you describe, because I know the conversations we have, and I know how you talk about the man you strive to be and the man you strive to exhibit for Lyric. So myself, I'm on the trust end as well. It was funny when you said that, because I was like, man, maybe I need to think of something different. But for me, my jail cell is trust and relationships. I had a dude at work one time, white guy, was a couple of levels above me. We were talking, and he was like, "Yo, William, I'd like to mentor you," because he wanted me to get to a couple of levels above where I was at in work from a job perspective, a title perspective. And I was like, "Oh, I appreciate that." And I remember telling Sheila, "I don't know that dude. I ain't mentoring with him," because he was a white guy. And I felt like I've always felt like I understand why black people mentor black people. They look like me, they walk like me. We have a similar lingo. I understand my need to promote them because one day I'm hoping they will promote my children. When it's somebody who's white, I'm always like, what are they trying to get from me? Are they trying to set me up? Or it used to be like that more so. Are they trying to set me up? Which comes back to something that we talked about on previous shows, and I don't want to delve into it. But when we talked about the Jewish community, Kyrie and Kanye, and we all have some very definitive perspectives on the different communities that we get involved with and impact us. But the fact of the matter is, there are good white people, there are good green people, there are good brown people, there are bad brown people, bad green people, bad white people. And our job is to actually identify the people that mean us well. And that is something that I struggle with. And when we start talking about where does that struggle come from, man, I've lost a lot. My mother passed when I was 3 years old. And then I lost both my grandmothers who helped to raise me. And then I lost my sister when she was 49. So you get this feeling that you can't trust life, not people, but life. Had some people do some things to me. Uh, you know, one dude stabbed me in the back, and I thought me and him was like people. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't a black man. It wasn't a black. It was just bad things happen. You get the experience, and it's time to rebound and move on, to grow from it. And if I like who I am today, I cannot be mad that he did to me what he did to me because I cannot be who I am without that experience. Now, how I get through that experience, that goes back to the conversations, the mental health, and some of those things that we talk about, and the need to be able to talk and be vulnerable to break out of our jail cells. But that is very important. So I appreciate you all being vulnerable and laying that out, especially you, JP, because we got this on tape. And not only can Sasha go back in years and see it, but we're going to be able to pull this shit up and say, you already acknowledged it. I want to switch topics real quick. And I want to throw this one out because this was something that was in my mind. And we were talking about jail cells. And I think this is a community jail cell that I'm getting ready to hit on. So we're talking about social norms. And over the years, there have been a lot of controversies about when black men make it, they go out and they get women outside of our community to marry. And I think you love who you love. But there's a stigma that black men who are successful date outside of our community. It's there. They pointed a lot of athletes, right? We don't hear them mention the Denzel Washingtons and people like that, but we point to a lot of athletes who've married outside the race. But recently, within the last 2 years, we've had the highest ranking official in the land from a political standpoint, the vice president, Kamala Harris, however you pronounce that. Not, I apologize to all the AKAs if I butchered that. The VP Harris, and she is married to someone who would not be considered to be a black male. We have the highest ranking judicial person, Chief Justice in the country, and she is married to someone who would not be considered to be African American. I have not heard the outcry about black women being successful and marrying outside of the race once they've reached success. What do we think about that as a group? Is that really an issue in this day and age? And is it something we need to move past as a community? Uh,
Well,
John, I'm
uh,
gonna go to you.
well, I would say it was talked about. It depends on what circles you have, because there was a lot of people that had took issue with Vice President Harris and our new justice on the Supreme Court. They did take issue with it, but for me, this conversation comes up a lot And it's like you say, you love who you love. Now you may have a preference to date the same race, but you love who you love. And I think we get too caught up, not just in relationship, we get too caught up on what someone else is doing, like it has a direct impact on our life. Yes, I would love to see people, um, for lack of a better way to explain it, to blossom with the same race. But what I want to see more is a person being happy. I want to see the love, more so than anything. Now, for myself, I know what I prefer, but if that comes in a different package, then I can't deny that and say this is the one that. And so for me, it comes really back to what makes you happy and what's going to make you satisfied in the end. Because I don't have to live with your spouse, you do.
You said you know what you prefer. Do you mind if I kind of delve into that? What do you prefer?
Oh well, I mm, my preference are chocolate, caramel, light skin, and I'm gonna leave it at that because there's other things that go with that, but I will leave it at that.
Why? Why do you think that's your
Why?
preference? Hmm.
Why is that? Well, see, now that's when we tap into that grown man because see, when I'm looking at the chocolate drops and just never mind. I'm gonna leave it at that
Speak
because
on it.
it
Speak
goes
on
into
it, brother.
more
Speak on it.
that sensual beauty of a woman that appeals to me, the softness of her bosom, the feel of her skin, the um, the nice smell of a lady, the shapely of her body,
Whew. I got
and
scared as
it
shit,
goes
y'all.
into a lot of things.
John started talking about the nice
So
smell. I was
so
like,
you
oh
know,
shit.
Yeah,
What
I
is he
swear
getting
I
ready to say?
yeah.
I was like,
y'all
oh
should know
shit.
me
The
by
show just
now.
went. The show just went X. I thought I did till you started going there. I was like, oh shit. The show just went X rated. Uh, JP. So we're talking about preferences. What do you prefer? What do you like in a woman? And could you date someone outside your race?
First, I want to confess to something that might upset some of our
You just having a damn confession.
people. Yeah. Um, I see a lot of black males and black females in therapy who are single and have been struggling tremendously with it. And I'm talking about folks who have never been married and they are in their 30s, their 40s, even their 50s. And so, my confession that I don't know, I guess some people might not like, is that I have actually been encouraging our people to broaden their horizons and date outside of the race. And the reason why is the way I address it with them is listen, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit on the show before. Black folks make up 15% of the US population. And that's all black folks, everything from infants to, you got your infants that they can't date. You have people who are incarcerated who can't be dated. You have the elderly people who, if you're younger, you're not trying to date a 70, 80-year-old person if you're
Come
in
on,
your
girl.
20s, you're in your 30s. Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, um, if you're straight, you have to subtract the people who are gay. If you're gay, you have to subtract the people who are straight. By the time you whittle away at that 15%, there's really not a lot left. And so it's for
But
that reason that I have been challenging people to take a look at focusing on who you connect with, regardless of their race. Because if you connect with someone and then you dismiss them because they are not African American, you are possibly passing on your soulmate. And so I think that we have to look beyond race and, do we expect that God is going to say that our only soulmate is going to be someone who looks like us? Because I don't think that God looks at love from a perspective of race. And so when
Yeah,
we
but
look at the
see, you
love
went
that
off
Christ
topic
on
though.
ourselves,
Yeah, he
uh,
did.
But you went off topic, and this is what I mean by that. So if my dating pool has shrunk and I am single, okay, I get it, right? But we're talking about people who have already got outside the dating pool. Why come there isn't the same stigma on the VP that there is on LV? Why come we're not? Why come we're not talking about? Well, yo, you had options, and you're currently married, so you can't talk about your dating pool being shrunk. Why come we don't put the same stigma on black women who are dating outside the race that we're putting on black men who make money and get successful and decide to date outside the race?
here's
Never made it if Michelle wouldn't have been Michelle. If his Michelle would have been blonde hair, blue eyes, he never would have made it because they never would have voted for him.
here's the reason why, in my opinion. Here's why I think that it is because it's considered to be much more of a rarity that you see a black woman with a white man compared to how often you see black men with white women. And so what has happened is a lot of the black women in our community have have been experiencing increased anger and rage rooted in rejection as they see so many black men with white women. Because it's a lot less common to see a black woman with a white man, I think people overlook it and don't necessarily look at it as something that is a problem within our community. It's almost looked at as if it's still an exception. Whereas when you see a black man with a white woman, it's like, no, it's not an exception, it's the rule, it's the norm. And it's upsetting to black women who are single and trying to find a black male life partner. And then they see so many black men with white women, they feel rejected. That's the reason why. If it increases, if it increases, I do think that after a while, black men will begin to experience those feelings of rejection and maybe that those feelings of anger. Why these sisters don't want us? It just
You,
hasn't gotten to that level.
you know what? I like to make this comment that one of our viewers said, and it's a valid point. They said the stigma isn't the same because black women married their men before they made it big, while black men married white women after they made it big.
And that's something that
So
can't
you're
be
saying
proven.
that
So that's just somebody talking.
That's an opinion.
That's just
That's an
somebody talking.
opinion there.
Yeah. So, hey, so check this out. Let me ask this question, LV. I'm coming to you with this next. So, load up, and I know you're ready for it. Uh, my question for you, JP, is you're telling me, all right, because of the pool, you need to broaden your horizons. How wide could you broaden your horizons if you were still single?
I think it kind of depends on the stage of life. If when I'm having this discussion with clients, and let's say I'm talking to somebody in their 40s and or their 50s and they're single, at that point, I think I would be very open to dating outside the race. When I was younger, in my 20s, um, it was, I don't know, it's as if it's something that I never even really thought about because the dating pool was large. Because I know what y'all thinking. Y'all never saw me date a white woman. And Okay, it's
Yeah,
true.
but we don't know what you was doing when you was running around Manhattan in them track shoes creeping. We don't know what you was doing. So what we saw and what you was doing is two different things. Two different things.
Trying to
Uh,
drive.
LV, LV, could you date outside the race?
Sure. I mean, what
You
would
say
it be
sure. You
at this age? Yes. At a younger age, no. Because I used to have a rule: if she can't use my mama comb, I can't bring her home.
mm,
You know, um, being older, it's all about, like you said, it's all about somebody that brings you joy and peace. If y'all get along, that's cool. Is that something I would go out and seek? No. Am I in the environment where I would probably meet somebody outside of my race? Oh, it's might be a 5% chance that that might happen. So I'm not in that kind of environment. So I wouldn't say no, I wouldn't. But if it happened and and if she piqued my eye and the conversation was good and it was, I mean, if she was just now, if there was just, if you just have sometimes you just have chemistry, you there's explosions and shit going off. So you may give it an opportunity. I don't give a damn what motherfuckers think about me anyway. So anybody would want to look at me and say, oh, he got a white girl. And but see, getting to what you were saying on, I just want to just like with when it comes to black women come to the other black woman's defense because of what JP was saying about they so fed up with seeing black men with white women. But so when a black man does say something, you have one black man that'll speak up, and you'll have 50 women come against him for saying something, and then want to try to say, he's just insecure, and he couldn't do what that guy is doing for that woman. So uh I personally don't give a damn. Like you said,
so
you love who you love.
I
so
think we
go ahead, JP.
should touch on the obstacle though, because when I
On the
was
what?
younger, the obstacle
Touch
to
on what?
dating outside race. When I
Hold
was
on, hold on,
younger,
hold on before we go there. Hold on before we go there real quick. Hold on before we go there real quick. Because I think this next question you can wrap that into it. So let me tell you a quick story real quick. Me and Chris Bryant were dating these two chicks, Kim and Kim. The Kim that he was dating was a sister, and the Kim that I was dating was white. So we were in Kansas City, and they decided to come down and see us. Well, I had never dated somebody outside of my race in Kansas City. It was always in Manhattan. To our house, and they rang the doorbell, and my niece Mariah went to the door and looked out my daddy's front door, and she didn't open the door. She came back in and said, Paw, there's a peachy woman at the door. Right, there's a peachy woman at the door. So I go open the door and I let her in, and when I tell you, nobody was rude in the crib. My daddy was like, hey, how you doing? They met her and everything like that. I felt so self-conscious, comfortable with the peachy woman. At that point, I knew I couldn't do it. Nothing to do with her. She was a great person. It was all me. And I tell you that story because I want to go to my next question. And this is about communication. And I know communication and dating to me are intertwined. So this is my question. And JP, I'm going to go to you because I want you to kind of hit on what you were getting ready to say, but I want you to tie it into this question. So, what does it mean when you hear somebody say, you're dating me and my past?
that's it.
JP?
That is it. That's what I was getting ready to say. As a younger person, my reason for not dating outside the race was because of the differences in experiences in America. I struggled with dating women who I felt like might not understand my experience as a black man in America. I struggled with even dealing with the possibility that white privilege would be an issue. And so when you say that, that does play a role. It is about more, what, way more than just attraction, and sometimes it's about more than connection, because you have to connect with a person regardless of race. But unfortunately, a lot of the time that we spend with that person is out in the community, out in the world. See, if you just stay in your house 24/7, you can grow old and drop dead together, because the outer world is not at play.
I
But
think he's talking about me right there. But go ahead.
it's kind of like you were saying, Coleman, is that in, when we were in school in Manhattan, it wasn't that much of an issue, but you were faced with the full weight of it here in Kansas City, because we are from a metropolitan area, and it's going to weigh heavier when you are with someone outside the race. And so simple things like, okay, if the police pull me over and I'm in the car with a black woman, and the police pull me over and I'm in the car with a white woman, we could end up having two totally different experiences. And that is something that as a younger person I struggled with. But like I said, in getting older, you have to kind of you have to weigh things a little differently, because your dating pool is so small. But we live in an extremely racist country, and it is not going to be easy to date outside of the race in America during this time, or even during previous times. But yeah, it's rough. And we want to feel like the person we're in a relationship with can relate to our experiences, the experiences of our people. We want to be if I come home and I have had some racial incident occur, the response that I would get from my white wife and the response that I might get from my black wife might be two totally different things. Not that a white woman cannot empathize with me and cannot hold me and allow me to lay my head on her shoulder and feel the weight and the pain of what I experienced, but the black woman is going to come from a place of knowing how I feel. And
Hmm.
that can carry a lot of weight.
Okay. So, John, I'm gonna swing to you real quick. LV, I got a question for you as well, and I want you all to piggyback on the question that I asked JP, but then I want to build JP's question, and we were kind of talking about the interracial dating thing, looking at the VP, Chief Justice, and so we've pivoted to that, to communication and what do you hear when someone says you're dating me and my past. Now let's build on that a little bit, and it's kind of building on what JP just said. If you're dating me and my past, what does that mean to you? And also, what do you need to hear from your mate to know that you're supported and validated in how you feel?
That's for me.
Yeah, quick, that's for you. Your ass slowed down now, huh?
Oh
Chinese slow.
no, no, not that. Um, for me,
Oh
when I
God,
hear
quick.
you dating me in my past, that just lets me know that there's a lot of things that you've had to overcome to bring to you who you are. So I have to look at that and see what situation you've come with. Like, I'm hanging this week with one of my coworkers, and she has some past, and I'm not trying to date her, but I look at her like if I was to date her, how much of her past do I am I willing to overcome and deal with? Do we start off in
Mm,
counseling? And this is just, I'm just using her as an example, but this is really anyone. If there seems like there's some trauma or some things that you've gone through in your past that's going to cause this relationship to be on rocky surfaces throughout the relationship, well, we probably should address this early if I feel that you're worth the time to invest in you. But if it's a case of I don't think it's going to be a good fit, no matter how much therapy we go through, then it's easy to cut bait for me. Um, but learning how to get past that is not really easy, but it's not hard in the same token because we all date each other's past, dealing with trust issues, abused in abusive relationships, come from relationships where the guy continuously cheated on you. One of the things I know I can't deal with security, and so that's the reason why I don't bring people I'm possibly going to around other people till I have make sure that they're secure in my life. And then whoever I bring you around, you don't have nothing to worry about because you are her, you are the person, and so you have to go through those different things. And what was the other part you want me to answer?
Well, you said something, and I want to scrap that other piece. I want to jump on this real quick. You said, how much of her past am I willing to date?
Hmm.
Right.
Is that a question? Is that an option?
Well, that it goes back to the
I'm
whole
trying to
thing.
I'm trying to see what you I'm trying to see what you meant by it, I
Well,
guess
that's
is
what
what
I'm
I'm
saying.
saying.
It goes into a deeper thing when I said I don't deal crazy. Well, there's some things that you've helped have hurt in your past that is easy to get past and work through, but it's some things where you have some real deep trauma that could make you snap time. That's probably not something I'm going to work through. That where at any given time you might explode, no matter what I say, what I do, and I may not be the cause of that. It may be that it's built up so much that I all of a sudden receive what someone else should have got. And just being with someone, sometimes you can try to be that guy that doesn't cause you pain, that doesn't cause you hurt. You're not like the rest, or this, that, and the other. But after so long, you can't keep going down the same path. Like, I'm not that guy that you used to date. I'm not that person you used to date. I'm completely different. And after so many times, that gets old. And so that's when you dating someone's past, their baggage. It's just you have to determine how much of that you're willing to accept and carry on with.
I love what Johnny Quick is saying because what he's saying is that we're not really talking about the past. Because if it is affecting the present, then we're talking about the present. So he's talking
Some
about what he's
current
willing to
shit.
tolerate and what he's not willing to tolerate. He's not willing to tolerate certain things from the past that are creating dysfunction in the person in the present. And that's right.
Yes.
I absolutely
Okay.
agree.
And I agree with that too. Now let's turn the knob a little bit, and I'm gonna point this at, and then I'm gonna ask everybody to uh speak on this a little bit from different perspectives. Gerald, your perspective is gonna be different because you married. So you're gonna give the perspective of people, whereas John and LV, you can give a perspective because this could actually be something that you could currently live. So we've talked about these relationships. We've talked about things that we've struggled with because of people's past and what they bring to the current relationships. So as you're in this world and you're navigating this and trying to figure out, is this person for me, or interacting with different people, different women, trying to figure out, is this a good fit? Is this somebody I want to remove all the other obstacles for and settle down and date with this person? So when you hear this from a woman, what does it mean? And does it mean something different if you hear it from a male counterpart? When you hear a woman tell you that you're interested in, that she is openly dating, what do you hear? And if you hear that same thing from one of your male friends, I am openly dating, do you hear something different? And does it mean something different? LV?
um, when I hear that from women, I take it as that, all options are open. They're trying to find Mr. Right, that one perfect guy that just keeps, he's surpassing everybody else. It's like they may have two or three guys that are suiting them at the same time, and may not just totally focus in and get somewhat monogamous with one until they're comfortable to see who's the best, out of the three in her opinion at that time. When I hear men say it depends on the person. I will have to know who I'm talking to, because some men will say that while leading one particular woman to believe that she's that one and only, but at the same time, he's either adding notches to the belt or he's seeking, she's just uh she's something to do for the moment. She cool or whatever the issue is, but he's still trying to find somebody better, and then he may leave her totally alone when they say they still openly dating. Um, so I mean that.
Question for you. Question for you. You used a word, and I want to make sure we all are on the same page. You used the word monogamy. How would you define monogamy?
Well, my definition of monogamy means that you choose one person to have your emotional connections as well as your sexual connections with.
All right. So if you hear a woman say she's dating openly and you find out that she got more than one dick in her life, you still dating her?
Just depends. I mean, if I thought I was the one and only, and then I find out about that, it depends. I might stick around for some additional fun, but as far as that, because she's evidently there were some mixed messages sent. If I thought, we trying to work on something, it's me and you, but Raphael and Thomas
and the grown man experience.
yeah,
And this is why I asked that question. And John, I want this to come your way. This is why I asked that question, and I'm piggybacking on what I was just talking about with LV. A lot of times we're okay that women are keeping their options open as far as trying to see who fits for them in the dating world. But as men, we can't handle it when we find out women are sleeping with other men, even if we knew they were openly dating. So, John, if you're in this world and you dating a couple of people, she's dating a couple of people, and you trying to figure it out, and you hone in and be like, she's the one, but you find out she got multiple dicks in her life, are you trying to hone in now to show her she needs to get rid of the excess dick, or are you letting her go? How you working with that?
You should have asked
Yeah.
that.
Oh well,
It'll come back to
you.
It'll come back to you.
Well, I'm gonna circle back to what I started off with, and this was the joke last Friday, but it makes sense. Is many times, and you've heard me say this, I say one thing and people interpret something different, and so we laughed about it, and this is it came up out of this situation when I'll go on a trip. I ask, okay, what experience do you want? Do you want the friend experience or do you want the boyfriend girlfriend experience? And that's kind of with relationship. Because if you want the friend experience, that means if you out there doing whatever, that means I'm out there doing whatever. I'm securing the fact if you getting all this dick down and all this, that's cool. But if you see me flirting, doing my thing over here, then all of a sudden to say you want to upgrade your package because the you didn't take out the insurance policy on it. So you got to stick with the package that you have.
Hey, once you get on that plane, your upgrades.
Once you sign, this is what you want. Now we can revisit this at a later time. It's like, okay, I want to get serious,
trip.
but
Trip.
right. Don't all of a sudden want to change the policy when we midstream because you see I'm having a good time over here and you're not having such a good time over there.
You know what? And I told LV this one time. I said a woman can walk in and catch me sleeping with another woman. If she tell me that she's sleeping with somebody else too, I'm gonna break up with her. I'm not built like that. I can't take it. I can't take it. I'm not emotional. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm asking that question, because when we talk about communication and when we talk about relationships, do we have the same double standard towards women that women have towards us when it comes to dating outside the race?
But see,
It's double standard.
the thing is, it might hurt my pride and my ego. That's one thing. But if I've set the boundaries, like you go play and I'll go play. Now, if I don't see you playing, that's a different story. But if I see you playing, it's like, well, I can't be over here in this because, yeah, that's not going to work out. But you have to
So
also look at it before
are
you
you
mess
willing
with
to
it.
tell them? Are you willing to tell them you playing? Because that's the other problem. Most of the time, we are not honest within relationships and telling them, "Yo, I'm playing." You know, so if you want to
I,
play, play.
my
But
my motto is like he said, monogamy. My thing is, if I gotta cheat on you, I don't need to be with you. So if we together, we say we together, it's all about you. I'm not out here trying to do this, that, and the other. But we all openly dating. Well, I might be out here doing this, that, and thus and so. While you over here doing this, that, and thus and so. But I'm gonna be
but
honest
sometimes
because
you've
that's
not
all
gotten.
I know.
But
Can I
sometimes,
ask a
but
question?
yeah, yeah. Go ahead. You something?
Why the hell you going on a trip with somebody and y'all ain't gonna be acting like boyfriend and girlfriend? Why y'all gotta go on the trip for y'all both to go and be each other?
But
Because
see, John,
because me,
John, but see,
for
John
me,
ain't defined this girlfriend boyfriend thing. John ain't defined that shit. John, listen, dog.
hey,
John be talking in
John,
circles, dog.
no, you don't. John is straightforward. See what y'all miss
Okay,
on
well,
Okay,
let
so
me
answer
tell
my
y'all this part.
let me ask
answer my
Let me
let
finish.
me ask you a
Let me finish
straightforward
so
question.
okay.
Finish it, and I got a question for you.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, finish your statement.
Oh, you want to let me finish? Okay. What I've said on this, you have to know what a person value. For me to take someone on a trip, that doesn't mean nothing to me. That's not what my value is. So I've taken many a lady. I've taken a young lady to New York to a Broadway play and didn't expect anything. So it doesn't mean nothing to me.
excuse me, cousin
So
Elon Musk.
you know what I'm saying. So my question would be this. Uh, so just because somebody says they don't want the boyfriend girlfriend experience, does that mean you're not trying to tap that ass?
I'm not gonna pursue it, but if it comes up, it happens.
See,
I
that's
ain't,
just
okay.
another.
How does it? How did? Thank you.
He's turning it
I'm getting
down.
ready to call me now. That's just hey, that's game. It was a few shows ago we talked about game. That's game. See, that's how you get them out them panties. They wasn't expecting to. You take them right to a Broadway show and all that. Boy, them legs is wide as Latte. Get out of here,
Well,
man.
see,
I gotta call you out. I
I
can't
had
no
one of
more.
my lady friends tell me.
Refuse to. I'm
She
sorry.
said,
Call
"Look,
me
she
whatever.
like Lil John, you leading these women on because they telling their
Hell
friends,
yeah.
he did this and he did that for me." And she
Oh,
like, "Well, no, you don't."
oh, check it out. And see, this is what I like about it. He ain't gonna try to get no ass on the trip, and that's what fuck him up. And that when he get back home, an abundance. And then they do one thing to fall into the crazy zone. He like,
They ain't gotta do nothing. John be like, she's stupid. JP, what do you think about all this?
Because he will dismiss somebody if he thinks they're
yeah.
stupid. Um,
After this show, I'll tell you what happened Friday. After this show,
I'm not a
Bang,
fan.
bang, bang.
Bang, 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 bang.
I'm not a fan of double standards and hypocrisy. I feel like, in fact, I encourage single people to keep their options open and Yeah. I think people should be honest about it though. I don't think that a woman who's dating multiple people is a whore and a man who's dating multiple people is a player. I feel like if you date multiple people, you dating multiple people. You a human and you dating multiple people. I just don't like when people are dishonest about it. Don't mislead all the people that you dating and have all of them believing that they're the only one. I I don't agree with that, and I think that men should be secure enough within themselves to be okay if they're dating a woman and she's dating other people because he should be doing the same thing. You know, you can't say, "Well, I can date other people, but you can't date other people. If you doing it, you a whore." I don't agree with that, and the reason why I encourage people to date and to be open and date multiple people if they are not in a committed relationship is because the dating pool is small and it shrinks and shrinks and shrinks as you get older and older and older. So when your dating pool is shrinking, you need to be dating like whoever the hell you meet that you attracted to and you feel a connection with. When one of them begins to stand out and you want to just be with that person and you can't even really fully enjoy your time with the other people you're dating because you're thinking about that one, well, that's how you know that is your person. If they're on the same page and they're also saying to you, I don't want to date other people, I just want you. Well, damn it, all right. It's time for y'all to move forward in that direction. But be honest about it. Be honest about whatever you
So,
do.
so growing up, there was always this thing in my head where it was like men are hunters and they like to hunt women, and they hunt because they want um um because they just hunt. It don't mean nothing. It's just a hunt. They just trying to get something to eat. Whereas women were always kind of placed in this upper thing that we place our mothers on. These are women, these are special people. They don't hunt, they don't go out here looking for things. They date and marry for love and all of these things, right? So if that is the perception that we have, where women don't have sex, they have sex for love, whereas men will profess love to have sex. That's two different perspectives and philosophies. And if you have those, now when you see women dealing with multiple people, it's kind of hard to reconcile that. And I'm not saying it's correct. I just want you to think about it and speak on that a little bit. Is the thing with women having multiple sexual partners or dating multiple people, is our issue with that is because we look at them as dating for love and not for fun, which is different than men who have always been prescribed to be hunters and dating for fun. If we look at that as total opposites and then we see them doing that, how do we reconcile that mentally? Do you have that challenge, and are you able to reconcile mentally where you are with a woman who is dating multiple men? John, I'm gonna let you know this. We got to get ready to go here in a minute, y'all. John, can you hit that one real quick?
Yeah, like I said earlier, it might be a blow to the ego and your manhood, but if I've set the parameter where it's okay for me to do it, I can't have a problem with you doing it. Now, if you present yourself as being to be to have relationship with multiple guys, and there's a difference between being a hoe. So and I don't have time to really break that down. But if you present yourself as a lady at all times, I have no problem. If you present yourself as being something different than a lady, then that's where I have an issue with.
LB?
Um, I mean, it goes with maturity with me, man. I mean, as a being as say in my 20s, if I knew a chick was, sleeping with a whole bunch of dudes, yeah, maybe I would throw her into that category of the garden tool. But you know, you mature, you learn more things, and then you really find out a lot of women like to just have sex like men just like to have sex. You know, just because we want to have, I mean, just like we want to have a variety. Sometimes some of them in their younger years they want to have variety. You know, but as long as she wasn't leading me on to believe that I was the only one, I mean, maybe I'm arrogant, but I'm confident with my performance. So, in my opinion, you know, she trying to see if they up, if you know, if they reaching the bar, because I set a standard. You know, whether you want to stay with me or not, I have a. I shouldn't say this, but fuck it. it, and like I said, maybe it's arrogant, but I always want to leave a lasting impression. You know, I have a saying, you know, you may replace me, but you can never fill my void. I will
Mm,
always leave a void in a woman's life that cannot be filled because of what I do. They're going to
a
always
true
be like,
pimpalicious answer.
hey, he wasn't shitting when it came to emotions, but god damn, I still ain't found nobody to reach that pinnacle.
Go ahead,
Not to say that
pimpalicious.
I achieved it every time, but that's what I strive for.
JP.
I think you're getting into nature versus nurture, biology
Hmm.
versus upbringing, because
Hmm.
many believe that men are biologically created to hunt and that women are biologically created to be monogamous or
Nurture.
to not be engaged with multiple partners. But the truth of the matter is that's not a nature thing, that's a nurture thing. It's not that men are biologically hunters, it's that in raising our sons, parents give them permission to be involved with multiple partners. And in raising our daughters are taught not to, because if she does it, she's a whore. Well, as time has gone by and we get to modern society, in our modern world, people are not really putting that negative stigma on women. And now women are being taught that they have the freedom to date multiple partners and that they should not feel like they are a whore for doing so. They are exercising the same freedoms that men have been raised to exercise. And I have to agree with that. You know, I feel like, hey, if a man wants to date multiple people, as long as he's honest with the people he's dating and not misleading them to believe that, they're the only one, he's not a hoe, and it's not biological, it's just what he does. And the same thing should go for a woman. She has those same freedoms to do so. So I think it has changed as time has gone by. Even from where it was 30 years ago when we was on a college campus, men and women were looked at differently if they were engaged with multiple partners. But when y'all think about it, as the years have passed, I don't think that women are necessarily labeled as heavily as they once were for exercising their options.
Yeah. And and I think that we had tonight was, let's move away from double standards. Let's move away from looking at our women, whether it's financially, emotionally, physically, as deficient or less than, and put them on the same pedestal that we want ourselves to be put on as equals. And if we do that, we as individuals will be mentally healthier, physically healthier, our families will be better off, and we will have better relationships. Because from the standpoint of who we are as human beings, earth to have relationships. And speaking of having relationships, I so appreciate you all, and I appreciate what you bring to the table and our ability to have these conversations. I appreciate you all being vulnerable this evening, talking about your jail cell. I appreciate us hitting on topics and getting rid of stigmas within our community that we ourselves do not believe in, and that we want to make sure that we put out there so that young men and women who are coming up behind us are being raised on an even scale. I so love y'all. I appreciate y'all. John, I know you got to go, so let's go ahead and wrap this show up because we've gone a little long. I appreciate you, brothers. I love you, brothers, man. Until next week, I'm safe, be kind, be lovable. Y'all have a good one. And JP, thank you so much for admitting that you're late to every damn thing. Let's go, John.
That is not what I said.
All right.